Hi, I'm Zach Broman, and I used to feel like a loser because even though I knew I was a pretty intelligent guy, I just couldn't get things done and my life was going nowhere until I made a surprising discovery that completely eliminated my desire to procrastinate, turned me into an absolute get-stuff-done machine, and propelled me forward to achieve the kind of success that until then was always out of reach for me. In fact, on the day I made this discovery, I started building my first online business from scratch. And 90 days later, it was done, adding 5 figures a month to my income, giving me a new confidence I'd never felt before. And the best part is, I didn't have to use discipline or willpower to stay focused. And I never once had to use pressure or fear to push myself into finishing things. This discovery has nothing to do with time management. Nothing to do with forcing myself to do things I didn't want to do. In fact, I guarantee it's completely unlike anything you've ever heard before. And yet, once you hear it, it'll be so obvious you'll kick yourself for not noticing it was right there in front of you the whole time. I found a way to trick my brain into getting things done without my usual fear and resistance. It's almost like my productivity was on autopilot. In fact, those things I used to avoid, I now find intensely enjoyable. You'll understand why in just a second. And by the way, not only has it transformed me from a procrastinator into a doer, allowing me to get things done in a fraction of the time it used to, leaving me more free time to spend with my wife and kids and fool around on guitar, but it's also worked with every single person I've shared it with, and it's stupidly easy. Scott McGillivray, for example, had recently lost his job as a software engineer and wanted to start freelancing, but was having trouble getting going. The day after I shared what I discovered with him, he sent me this text. "Thanks, Zach. I've gotten more done in the past week than I have all year." And it wasn't just entrepreneurs. A student from the University of Massachusetts sent me this email a few weeks after trying this method. "It has literally changed my life. I've only been applying it for a few weeks and I've already had the most productive summer of my life. I've lost 35 pounds, read every book on my summer reading list, and finished several projects I've been avoiding for a while. I've even found time to party, date a girl, and hang out with friends, all guilt-free. I can't even describe how much happier this all makes me." You see, when you get out of your rut and start getting stuff done, not only do you feel good about what you've accomplished, you start to have a new confidence. You know how good it feels when you get something done that you've had trouble getting done, and the sense of freedom you feel when you cross a big item off your to-do list, or when you get one more thing off your plate? Not only do you feel this sense of relief, of getting that 800-pound gorilla off your back, but you realize that, hey, I can do this. And you start to feel like you can do other things. Maybe you can do anything. That's what happens when you start using this little trick I'm about to share with you. You get success momentum, where each success in your life leads to more confidence, which leads to more success, which leads to even more confidence, creating a sort of snowball effect. A week after I started using it, my wife said to me, "What's happened to you? Something's different." And then she kissed me in a way we hadn't kissed in months. Because she was picking up on something else that had changed. When I wasn't working, I was no longer distracted and stressed about all the things I wasn't getting done. I was completely present with her and with my kids. It's like Jordan Gray wrote me about his experience. Before, when I was doing work, I felt like I was doing it 80% of the way. And when I was out socializing, I was only 80% there too. The two activities bled into each other, and I was never really present. It's only been a week, but I already feel a massive shift in the level of enjoyment I feel when I'm working and when I'm out having fun. I can honestly say that these past few days have been the most productive I've ever had. See, most people don't realize how much procrastination is invading every aspect of their lives. So when you're finally rid of it, you experience a new freedom. Now, before I share with you the scientific discovery that changed everything for me and thousands of other people, I'm going to tell you something no one's ever told you before. Just because you procrastinate doesn't mean you're lazy or that you lack discipline or willpower. There are other reasons for it, reasons no one's ever told you. So if you've ever been told to just get it together or just do it or be disciplined or just get focused or any of the other useless things that people say when they don't know what they're talking about, then hang tight. Because over the next few minutes, I'm going to prove to you that that's not true. That you don't need any of those things. And I'm going to show you how trying to get success by pushing through and putting your nose to the grindstone, which is probably what you've always been told to do, actually makes you more likely to fail. And then I'm going to show you the difference in the way wildly productive entrepreneurs set up their day that gives them the power to drive things forward so quickly and fearlessly. So I just hung up the phone after talking with my mom, and I had a sinking feeling in my stomach. I thought to myself, what the hell am I going to do? I'd bounced my rent check and I needed her to bail me out, so I'd had to ask her for another loan to cover my bills. Now, I was 35 years old, and once again I'd promised her this would be the last time. And she said it was fine, but I could hear it in her voice. She was disappointed in me. She was worried about me, and I hated being a burden to my parents. And I hated feeling like I was still a child in their eyes, that maybe I'd never be responsible enough to live without their support. I downplayed how much money I really needed because it was embarrassing, but I borrowed just enough to last another 8 weeks. That was it. After that, I had no idea where rent was coming from. If I didn't get my business launched, I honestly couldn't think about what would happen. I didn't want to go there in my mind. But it would be the ultimate humiliation in front of my wife, my kids, and everyone who told me going into business for myself was a bad idea. I asked myself, what was wrong with me? Why couldn't I get it together? Why does trying harder never seem to work? Why did I always break those promises to myself that next time will be different? See, I'd always been told I was smart, and somehow I thought that just being smart meant I'd end up successful. But for my entire life, I'd watch as people vaulted ahead of me, people with weaker ideas and less intelligence, just because they could actually follow through and move things forward. For me, that had always been a struggle. In high school, it got so bad I had to repeat my last year while all my friends went off to college. My English teacher had a policy of deducting a letter grade for each day a paper was handed in late, which brought my grade from what would have been an A to a C-, making it impossible for me to get into college without going back to high school for another year. When I finally did get to college, it wasn't any better. I only lasted 1 year, and of the 5 courses I started with, I dropped 3, barely finished 1, and pleaded for an extension on the last one, which meant I had to write an exam in the middle of summer. I still didn't finish reading all the books I was supposed to, so I botched the exam anyway, and the prof ended up giving me a barely pass, the lowest mark possible without failing me. Now, I still don't know whether he felt bad for me or he just didn't want to ever see me in his class again. After that, I couldn't hold on to a job for more than a few months before I'd feel so stressed about all the things that were piling up that I just quit. And that would give me a temporary sense of relief, but I'd just find myself in the same position again a few months later, just the place I was working had changed. I once got caught and yelled at by my boss for spending most of the day chatting with friends on Messenger, and I had no response. I was wrong. I was wasting the company's money, and I knew it. So I thought maybe I just wasn't cut out to work for other people, and I started a business with some friends of mine. But I quickly found that the business partners weren't that different from bosses. They rightfully expected me to deliver things at certain times, and it just felt impossible for me to do that. So I left that business and decided to finally go it alone. I thought that if I did something I was interested in and I didn't have someone breathing down my neck all the time, it would be easier to move things forward. And it was definitely a relief not to have someone else telling me what to do. But with no one to answer to but myself, I found it even harder to move projects forward and get things off the ground. Every day I'd fritter the time away, always intending to work, but inevitably I'd get sidetracked, surfing the internet or compulsively checking my email and Facebook or working on something like formatting a document or drawing an outline of the business over and over and over again, things that didn't actually drive the business forward. I'd take a nap in the afternoon to refresh my brain, and I'd tell myself to make up for the day's lack of output, I'm going to stay up late, I'm going to hammer things out, I'm going to work extra hard. After all, I used to tell myself, I can focus better at night anyway. But then at nighttime, right before I got started, there was always something. Either I'd tell myself, I'll just watch one episode of Friday Night Lights on Netflix, or I'll just check this one website, and then I'll really get down to business. Hours would pass, and I still hadn't started. It was like I couldn't help myself. Like I was possessed or something. Even though I knew that what I was doing was making my life worse, I did it anyway. And finally, filled with self-hatred, I'd head to bed at 3 or 4 a.m. with the promise to myself that tomorrow would be different. But of course, it never was. The next morning, and I'm not proud to admit this, I would lie to my wife, Amanda, telling her I'd been up late working and had gotten lots done. And when she'd innocently ask me what, I was moody and defensive, but I couldn't really blame her. Bills were never paid on time, taxes were overdue, and it was stressing her out, especially because she was pregnant with our second child. I promised her that things were about to change so many times that whenever I'd say, just give me another month to get things rolling, she'd just go silent. And I knew what that silence meant. It meant, I've heard that so many times before, and it's never been true. I don't know what to do anymore. That silence hurt me deeper than anything she could have said to me, because I knew I'd let her down, and I'd lost all credibility with her and with all the people I loved the most. I felt guilty. Guilty that I was lying. Guilty that I wasn't going anywhere with my life when I knew I was capable of so much more. And guilty that I was wasting the one thing I could never get back. My time. I was ashamed. Shouldn't a man be able to support his family? That phone call with my mom was when I hit rock bottom. So there I sat in one of the big comfy chairs at Starbucks, wondering how the hell I was going to break this pattern, get this business launched in just a couple of months. See, I couldn't go back to getting a job since I wasn't qualified for much. Whatever job I got still wouldn't be enough to support me, Amanda, our 2-year-old son, and the new baby on the way, and pay off all our debts. Plus, I knew that I needed a permanent solution. That would just be a Band-Aid. It was clear to me that whatever I'd been doing so far wasn't working. I tried using willpower to force my way through thousands of times. Useless. I tried putting pressure on myself by committing to deadlines I couldn't get out of. And that just stressed me out and made me feel more anxious, which made me want to procrastinate even more. Then at the last minute, I'd rush to finish with the feeling like I was putting myself through a meat grinder, and I didn't want to live like that. I tried time management programs, but since my problem to begin with was procrastination, those programs just gave me more stuff to do that I avoided doing. So inevitably, I'd give up within a few weeks, usually a few days. I needed to try something radically different if I was going to get out of this mess. I needed a way to keep myself motivated and focused that didn't rely on willpower or pushing through, that didn't involve putting more pressure on myself by committing to deadlines and then struggling to finish in time. Something that lasted longer than the temporary boost of motivation I'd get from listening to motivational speakers or reading inspiring quotes. Something that would make sure I didn't get distracted and followed through on the things that would lead to a better life for me and my family. Now, I've always been a psychology buff. One thing I love is reading books about psychology and neuroscience and human behavior. I'm actually a bit of a nerd about it. I read medical journals and textbooks and stuff like that because that stuff just fascinates me. So I decided to immerse myself in the scientific literature. I read journals and papers on everything from how our brains focus to the neuroscience of motivation, and even, believe it or not, things like game design and animal training. After a bit of digging, I came across the first of 3 discoveries that transformed me literally overnight into a productivity machine. My first discovery came from an article published in 1992 in the Psychological Review. It opened my mind to the fact that wildly productive people experience work in an entirely different way from the rest of the population. Think about it this way. Author Isaac Asimov published 506 works in his lifetime. Well, most people who set out to write a book never even finish their first one. Do you think he used to wake up every morning and think, ugh, I wish I didn't have to go to work today? Or Thomas Edison, he accumulated 2,332 patents over the course of his life. Do you think he needed to look at motivational quotes to inspire himself to get working on his inventions every morning? Well, let's look at someone else who's alive today. Someone like world-renowned entrepreneur Elon Musk. By 40, he'd already founded SpaceX, which builds the world's most advanced rockets and spacecraft. He co-founded Tesla Motors and PayPal. And he started a company called SolarCity, the largest provider of solar power systems in the United States. Now, do you think he's able to accomplish that much because he has more discipline or willpower than everyone else? Do you think he has to force himself to go to work? Do you think it's a struggle for him to get things done because he'd rather be checking his Facebook? Of course not. If super producers like them had to force themselves to get things done, they would have retired the moment they made their first millions. After all, they don't need any more money. They don't need more success. So what do they do it for? Well, it turns out that these people just enjoy getting stuff done. They enjoy it so much that they continue to invest a lot of time in working even after they've achieved ridiculous amounts of wealth and prestige. They're not motivated by money or success. They're motivated purely by the rush they get from making things happen every single day. So they don't have a good work ethic. They're not more disciplined. They're not better at getting themselves to do things when they don't feel like it. No, for people like them, work doesn't feel like work at all. For them, work switches on the pleasure circuits of their brains. It gives them a surge of dopamine. Now, dopamine is the feel-good chemical in your brain that activates feelings you get from listening to really good music, sex, winning the lottery, and certain drugs like cocaine. It makes you feel energized and alive, like anything is possible, like you're in control of your life. That's what they feel like when they work. And by the way, that's true not just of Isaac Asimov and Thomas Edison and Elon Musk. It's also true of me now, and it's true of every other person I've taught this to. The experience of getting things done is so pleasurable, there's nothing else we'd rather be doing. Which brings me to the second discovery. Because this phenomenon of actually getting a natural high from getting stuff done is something researchers at the University of Indiana call blissful productivity. You've probably experienced it at one time or another. It's that powerful, kicking ass and taking names feeling you get when you've just crossed 5 important things off your to-do list in one morning. It's intensely pleasurable. There's nothing else you'd rather be doing, and hours fly by in what feels like minutes. It's the feeling of satisfaction you get when you look back at something you've accomplished and think to yourself, I did that. It's why looking at a list with all your to-dos crossed off just feels really good, and why looking at an empty inbox is so satisfying. And it's how highly productive get-it-done people feel every time they work. See, when you experience blissful productivity every single day, you don't need willpower. You don't need discipline. You don't need to force yourself or threaten yourself to get things done. You just naturally want to do it. It's simple. Doing things that feel good doesn't require willpower or discipline. And you no longer feel like you're wrestling yourself over what you want to do and what you think you should do, because they're one and the same. And here's the really cool part. It doesn't just stop you from procrastinating. It also gives you what Sean Achor from Harvard calls a happiness advantage. In his words, your intelligence rises, your creativity rises, your energy levels rise. In fact, what we found is that every single business outcome improves. Your brain at positive is 31% more productive than your brain at negative, neutral, or stressed. That's why blissful productivity is the secret weapon of successful entrepreneurs. Because if you have to force yourself to work on your business, there's no way you can compete with someone who's that intensely engaged and loving every minute of it. So what if you could feel that way too? What if you woke up every morning excited to get down to work? What if your projects gave you energy instead of sapping it and draining you? What if you got a natural high from getting things done? Not only would you lose all temptation to procrastinate, you'd be an absolute machine, focused, driven, decisive, and virtually guaranteed to be successful in whatever you do. So, how do you experience blissful productivity every time you work? Well, that's discovery number 3. It turns out blissful productivity arises naturally and automatically when certain conditions are in place. Things like seeing clear results of what you've just done, knowing exactly what your next step is, and getting frequent rewards as you go along. These things trigger that dopamine release in your brain that put you in blissful productivity from the moment you start, giving you the most astounding momentum to move things forward. If you know how to create these conditions, you'll become like one of the gods of productivity we talked about earlier. Those people who achieve amazing things in their lifetimes. Great authors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs, scientists at the top of their field. Procrastination will be nothing but a distant memory for you, just as it is for me and for everyone else I've shown how to do it. Because the more you experience blissful productivity, the easier it is to experience, as your brain is conditioned to associate work with pleasure. That's when you'll get so much done, other people will be in awe of how disciplined you appear and how together your life is. Once I realized that blissful productivity was predictable and repeatable, I set out to find exactly how to build my business in a way so that I could experience it every single day. But it took me a lot of research, a lot of testing and trying, a lot of using things that worked and throwing out things that didn't, and fine-tuning and tweaking. But pretty soon, I had it down to a science. I could sit down and click. I was immediately immersed in what I was doing. I'd blink, and suddenly it was 2 hours later, and I'd already finished everything on my to-do list for the day. I was free to spend the rest of the day however I wanted, guilt-free. Although truthfully, I was usually having so much fun, I actually wanted to keep going. My wife was more affectionate, and even my kids started behaving better because they could sense that I was fully present when I was with them. I finally felt like I was in control of my life, and I couldn't wait to share it with as many people as possible, because no one should have to go through what I went through. So then I had to go through another whole process of finding a way to communicate it so it worked with every single person I shared it with who was willing to give it a try. So now, rather than being a chronic procrastinator, I was the authority on getting things done. Because I was the only one who'd been there before, who knew how it felt to be a chronic procrastinator, who knew it wasn't easy to just get it done, or just get started, or just follow through, or any of the other things that people tell you. But pretty soon I found that more people wanted this information than I had hours in the day to show it to. Even with my new productivity, there's only so much one person can do. That's when I created a set of video tutorials that shows anyone the small changes to make in the way you approach work that will reprogram you to experience work as play. And knowing people are busy and some people don't want to sit there and watch videos, I also made MP3s and created PDFs, transcripts, and step-by-step worksheets that take you by the hand and walk you through exactly what you need to do first, second, and all the way along to set up the system and change the way you experience moving your projects forward forever. I call it the Find Your Focus system, and it contains everything you need to know to rid yourself of procrastination, get more done in less time, and experience blissful productivity every single day. And it's built specifically for a person who's busy and who wants this to flow with the way they live their lives.
Here's a brief sample of what you'll learn. In Module 1, Why You Procrastinate, you'll learn about the psychology of procrastination and how the way you think keeps you stuck in the procrastination trap, unable to escape. In Module 2, Drive, you'll learn the reward loop, which activates your brain's pleasure centers and fires up your drive every time you work. Why the way you set your goals makes all the difference between feeling eager and feeling discouraged, and the 4 crucial goal-setting mistakes most people don't realize they're making that doom them to failure before they even start. And the 30-second 2 doors technique you can do anytime and any place, which flips your drive switch, so you approach work, exercise, or anything you want with an unshakable sense of eagerness and optimism. In Module 3, Distraction and Focus, you'll learn the focus magnet technique, which embeds focus triggers in your work and hooks your attention into whatever you're doing without you having to try to concentrate. You'll learn how to create focus associations, which condition your brain to instantly and automatically enter a state of deep focus quickly and easily every time you sit down to work. And you'll learn why email and social networking sites are so good at stealing your attention, even when you know it's making you unhappy, and the simple reverse magnet technique for releasing yourself from their pull once you've started. In Module 4, Indecision, you'll discover the 5 ways to eliminate the self-doubt that's holding you back from making good decisions and finishing or even starting the task that will propel you to new heights of success. The mental trick for knowing when good enough is good enough and releasing perfectionism's smothering hold on your progress without sacrificing the quality of your work. You'll learn how to develop the ready, fire, aim mindset, which sets successful entrepreneurs apart from the struggling masses whose overplanning makes them miss the very opportunities that would have made them successful. In Module 5, Anxiety and Overwhelm, I show you how to break the anxiety avoidance spiral by cutting off your fears at the source so you no longer get waves of stress just from thinking about all you have to do. I show you a quick mental exercise for obliterating the fear of failure which clouds your judgment and makes you hesitate just when you should be moving forward. And I show you why the order you do things in makes all the difference in how much you put things off, and the one big mistake most people make when prioritizing that keeps them in a near constant state of anxiety. By the time you're finished the program, you'll have everything you need to leave procrastination behind for good. You'll be a productivity samurai, knocking out one task after another, like a master swordsman dispensing with his enemies left and right. All temptation to procrastinate will be gone without a trace, and you'll naturally look forward to getting things done every day. And you'll stop missing opportunities and wasting the chances that life gives you. So right now, you're probably asking yourself, is this program for me? Quite frankly, I don't know. That's something only you can decide. But if the hundreds of people who've gone through this program before you and have found it easy and enjoyable to rid themselves of their procrastination habit are any indication, then there's a good chance this program's exactly what you need to stop procrastinating. but you should know that this program is not for everyone. Since I started teaching this method, I found there are certain types of people this program generally isn't a good fit for. Even though this program can help literally anyone end procrastination and double or triple their productivity, I don't recommend you invest in it if you're 1. Someone who's already self-directed. If you're naturally driven, focused, decisive, and calm, if you wake up every morning excited to get to your projects and experience blissful productivity every time you sit down to work, and end every day satisfied with all you've achieved so you can completely enjoy your free time, then this program is probably not for you. 2. Someone who's totally happy working for someone else for the rest of your life. I never liked working for other people. I hated being told what to do and when and where and how to do it. But some people seem totally okay with showing up every day, punching in, and doing someone else's work. And that's okay. The world needs people like that. Now, I'm not saying you need to quit your day job tomorrow, but if you have absolutely no interest in being independent or even having your own project on the side, then this program probably isn't for you. 3. Someone who's attached to doing things your way. Let's face it, some people are just attached to their way of doing things. They have a hard time accepting that it's probably the way they've always done things that got them where they are in the first place. Though I do my best to show you how and why everything works the way it does, you'll never believe that it works 100% until you experience the changes for yourself. And to do that, you're going to have to temporarily set aside your usual way and try some things you've never tried before. If you're not willing or not able to do that, then this program probably isn't for you. On the other hand, if you've struggled with procrastination now or in the past, if you're ready to be the kind of self-directed, productive action taker others look up to, and if you're willing to take a chance and try some things you've never tried before, then I strongly recommend that you give this program a try. Because there's no better way to rid yourself of the procrastination that's been holding you back from success and causing you unnecessary pain for so long. So now you probably want to know, what's this program going to cost? I'm going to tell you in just a second, but first I want to ask you a more important question. What is the value of a program like this to you? The system you'll learn in this program will allow you to get things done in a fraction of the time they used to. How much more money would you make if you could finish in weeks what used to take you months? How much is it worth to you to finally write that book or set up that business that makes you money while you sleep? From a financial perspective alone, this program could save you thousands of dollars you would have lost continuing to put things off. That's not to mention what it's worth to finally enjoy your free time, be free of the stress that's constantly gnawing away at you, walk around every day with the confidence that you're one of those people who makes things happen. Back when I was struggling with procrastination, I would have given anything to have this problem solved. If I was offering this as a live group program, I'd probably charge about $2,000. I've seen time management programs go for up to $5,000. But what I have to share is so valuable, I didn't want the cost of this program to exclude some of the people who need it the most. And you might need this program first before you'll be in a place where investing that kind of money in yourself is something you don't even have to think about. So I decided to make it available for a ridiculously low price. Just enough for my time, the expenses of creating it, and to help me pay a few bills. So you're not going to pay the $2,000 it would cost you to learn this in a live seminar. You're not even going to pay $1,750 or $1,500 or even $1,250. Because I'm able to offer this program as an online home study course, you're going to get the entire program, the videos, the audio, the worksheets, and everything for just $49.95. An investment that will pay itself back many times over, likely in a matter of weeks. Just hit the big Add to Cart button below and free yourself of procrastination forever. You'll finally break down those barriers that have been holding you back for years, and you'll be well on your way to the wealth, freedom, and satisfaction that self-directed action takers enjoy every single day. As soon as you register, you'll be prompted to create your username and password, and you'll be taken to the members area where you can get started right away. Your privacy is 100% guaranteed, and your personal information is fully protected using secure SSL encryption. Oh, and by the way, if you're still on the fence about whether or not this is something you want to invest in, I found a way for you to test drive the program risk-free. In a perfect world, nobody should get paid unless they deliver every bit of the value you expect from them. And if you want to make the world a better place, I believe in starting with yourself. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and give you a guarantee that puts 100% of the risk squarely on my shoulders. Try Find Your Focus today. Watch the videos, check out the notes, and go through the worksheets. If at any time within 60 days you feel like it's not for you, simply send me an email at support@findyourfocus.com and you'll get a fast and courteous refund. No questions asked. Check out the entire product, and if for whatever reason the program's not for you, just shoot me a quick email and I'll refund all your money in a flash. I believe in treating people the way I like to be treated. And if you're not getting many times the value I've promised, I don't deserve your money. And quite frankly, I don't want it. I'm taking this risk because I've seen firsthand what this program can do for people, and I don't want anything standing in the way of you having access to it. All you have to do is hit the big Add to Cart button below and get started. You literally have nothing to lose. If you're still watching this video, that tells me 3 things about you. 1, you know procrastination is holding you back and keeping you from the success you deserve. 2, whatever you've been doing to overcome procrastination isn't working. And 3, you're interested enough to have invested the last 30 minutes of your time watching this video. So what are you waiting for? The way I see it, you have 3 choices. 1, you can do nothing. Keep doing what you've always done and keep getting the results you've always gotten. 2, you can try to figure this all out on your own. Hey, if I did it, maybe you can too. But I should warn you, it took me many months of trial and error and thousands of dollars in research to figure all of this stuff out. Or 3, you can let me help you and take advantage of the experience of someone who's been where you are and found a way through. I've been there. I've tried all the usual approaches, and I was lucky enough to stumble upon a solution that actually works. To not take advantage of that is like refusing the antidote to a poison and hoping you'll discover one yourself. So let me solve this problem for you. Hit the button below right now and set down the heavy burden of stress, guilt, and self-loathing you've been carrying around. Let me ask you this. What'll it cost you to not take action on this right now? Do you want to continue to struggle with methods that don't work? Do you want to put off creating the business, writing the book, and accomplishing the goals that will give you both financial freedom and the ability to leave your mark on the world? Do you want to look back at the end of your life and wonder what you might have accomplished if you'd only taken action? Or do you want to take control of the direction your life takes right now? If you've had difficulty taking action in the past, prove to me, but more importantly, prove to yourself right now that you can do this. Take action this one time and let me remove all the resistance you have to taking positive action in the future. With my absolute 100% guarantee, you can't lose. If you put this off, you'll just be repeating the cycle of procrastination that's kept you from the kind of life you really want. Because to be blunt, if you procrastinate even getting this part of your life handled, then perhaps no one can help you. But hey, if that gives you the excuse not to succeed that you need, who am I to take that away from you? All right, you know what to do. Hit the big button below to get started. I'll see you inside the members area. The choice is yours. By the way, before I experienced the shift that rid me of procrastination for good, I'd never experienced what it was like to be truly free. The only time I'd experienced anything similar was as a boy on the last day of school before summer holidays, when there were no more tests, no more assignments to hand in, no more itch in the back of my mind telling me there was something else I had to do. Just a seemingly endless string of carefree summer days ahead. Do you remember that feeling? How excited you were? How it felt to finally be free of the nagging feeling that there was some deadline looming you wish you could avoid? That's how I feel every day. And that's how you can feel too, if you let me help you. If you're even considering taking me up on this offer, I want you to remember, you don't need willpower. You don't need discipline. You don't even need to believe that it works. You just need to make a positive decision that you want to free yourself from the straitjacket of procrastination and have the willingness to at least try a system that's been proven to work again and again. I'm taking all the risks, so you literally have nothing to lose. Just hit the Add to Cart button below and find out for yourself. I'll see you in the members area.